Do you think that there's such a thing as ageism within hip hop that's like unright, or do you think that people are justified in saying that once you hit a certain age you start falling off? Because I would say that I would take the stance of there's justification behind it, that once you get a little bit older you lose your touch.
There has been, but there's also people that are 26 and are completely out of touch. I think the ageism's going away because in this era, because people like 2 Chainz and Jay-Z, and like I meet 60-year-olds who culturally, like, they know everything I'm talking about. And then I meet people my own age sometimes that don't know any of the things going on in the world. So it really just depends how locked you stay to the things that the hip hop world cares about. It's not so much your age, it's just how much you keep up with the shit they care about.
I think that after you've been doing it for a while, you kind of lose touch a little bit, because even Kendrick Lamar, his last, those leak songs that he had where he was rapping as the speech and as the song, like the concept was crazy good. Like it was really deep, dope concept, but the actual execution was terrible. Like he didn't sound hungry at all anymore.
I can't necessarily agree with you on that. I think it really depends on the person. And I think when people say that, we're most of the time looking at like local artists, because then you have local artists who are like 40 years old trying to say that they want to be rappers, and they're really not taking it seriously. They're just out here trying to hang out in the studio, get high, party, chill, and kick it or do whatever. But look at Jay-Z. As time went on, and I don't particularly care for Jay-Z, but as time went on, some of his content got better. When he did Picasso, like I was floored with Picasso. Like, to me, that was just one of the most amazing videos and productions that he actually had put out. The talent behind it, the creativity. So I think it depends on the mentality of the person and who you're putting into that box.
Even when he said Magna Carta Holy Grail, that song, it wasn't like old Jay at all, like what people considered him the GOAT for. It wasn't like that Jay. It sounded different. Like it was you could say it's development or whatever, but it didn't sound like a developed version of that. It just sounded like he had lost touch. That's all. Like,
yeah, okay, I have a couple things real quick. That does happen, like what you're claiming happened with Kendrick Lamar, Shawn. But that has nothing to do with the person aging. What you're talking about is when they're influenced by like great amounts of money and status and a new lifestyle. And sometimes when people get into that lifestyle, they lose touch, not because of age, because they're now making so much money and so many issues don't affect them. I think there's artists that, like Aesop Rock, for example, or like R.A. the Rugged Man, or I think there's plenty of people who, if they never get that mainstream push to put them out of touch, they're still making very in-touch music in their 40s and 50s because they've never been taken into that realm to cause them to lose touch. Because that type of process of losing touch isn't age-based. It's money and status-based. Like, I could lose touch tomorrow if I became a millionaire tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, it could happen. I would hope it wouldn't happen the way my brain's set up, but it could happen. And then all my shit would sound completely out of touch because I'm just rapping like a rich person who these issues don't really affect. You know what I mean?
I would disagree in that Drake hasn't hit his like mid 35s or 30, like the ages that like
he's already terrible, so that's a good example too.
Yeah. He's just like, he's advanced every time he's put out a project. Like every project he's put out has been harder from the last ones. Like he's just he continues to improve, and he's gotten more and more money. Well, except for with the exception of not views, but what was the one where it was all like Caribbean?
Yeah, the problem if we do music with Shawn verse is it's going to be just like politics, how he always finds a way to work Trump into it. Like he's always going to try to find a way to force Drake into the combo if we talk about music at all, especially hip hop.
All right, well, a couple of things before I go to my main point. Okay, one, I can't believe you said 444 was garbage. It wasn't. It wasn't.
I didn't even catch that. Wow.
Yeah. Two. Every single album that Drake has put out has not been better than the previous ones. His best 2 albums are Take Care and Nothing Was the Same. And behind that is probably Scorpion. So Scorpion definitely outlived a bunch of albums, but definitely not Take Care or Nothing Was the Same. My main point on what you said about hip hop and you know, their ageism and stuff like that. I think that what a lot of people forget is that hip hop is a young genre. Hip hop is roughly over 50, just over 50 years old. We don't have many older artists that were even at a super elite level. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time in their career, we look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z was at an elite level. His career has aged pretty well. Whether or not you think 444 was trash, it did what it was supposed to do, and that's Jay-Z at 40-something years old.
Right.
I think that as we go on and that this genre gets older, we're going to start to see that some people are going to continue to have dominance. I think Drake is one of them, that he's going to continue to have dominance until they decide that they don't want to make music anymore. I think that Lil Wayne's dominance was put to a halt because he had label issues. I think that Kanye's dominance was slowed down because he started having cultural issues with his core fan base. People that I feel like Andre 3000's greatness was slowed down. I think Andre would have been one of those people that would have had success into his fucking 80s if he was still making music.
He came
You know what I'm
on.
saying?
He
Right,
came
like-
on the Jay Electronica project like, my name is Jay-Z and I'm here to say. It was just terrible. That Jay Electronica project was great, which is crazy because he's old too, but Jay-Z's parts were horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think like Verse was saying, like there's no hip hop itself hasn't been around long enough for us to have like, you know, the Rolling Stones and like the Aerosmiths and like Ozzy Osbourne's and shit that even though their albums quality is not what it was in their peak, they're still well respected in the genre. And I think hip hop does have that because it has Jay-Z, it has 2 Chainz, it has Eminem, it has, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think a lot of the ageism, I think it existed at one point because I guess it would be strange to just break in as an older artist back then when it was new.
Right.
But I think after the inception of hip hop, like I think a lot of the ageism was just an illusion. Like people always would have accepted like the legends. We just hadn't got to that point because hip hop as a whole was so young. So I think just like Jay-Z and 2 Chainz and M and guys like that are for this generation. Every generation will have those now. And then you'll see people like A$AP Ferg where they put like Bone Thugs on their album, you know, like the younger generations keep them somewhat prevalent too because they work and mingle with them. So a lot of the ageism is gone and just an illusion at this point because a lot of old guys do insane fucking numbers and the most young prevalent artists put them on their projects. You know what I mean?
Trying to tell me that Snoop Dogg,
Fabulous. How
with all his practicing every year in and year out, isn't horrible now?
Man, you crazy? Are you crazy?
Currently, Snoop Dogg isn't horrible.
Bro, did you watch the verses, bro? Snoop was fluid, bro.
Currently, though.
The verses was 2 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm talking about what he records now, what he drops now, the songs he drops now.
He was freestyling. He was freestyling, and Snoop was. Listen, if y'all didn't listen to that, y'all should check him out on that verses. When they was freestyling, man, Snoop was like he ain't missed a beat at all. Snoop can still rap.
Well, I mean, I did hear the DMX and Lock song, and DMX was eating on that. So, I mean, there's a case to be made for either side. But Snoop, on his recent features, has been not making hits.
There's so many. It's just like I said, being in touch is just a matter of, you know, keeping your eye and ear to the prevalent things and putting yourself around people who give a shit about those things. You can do that at any fucking age. And everybody's going to accept you just like in other genres. It's just we haven't been able to see that full circle, but you'll see it. Like eventually there's going to be a bunch of like Jay-Z and Eminem aren't going anywhere. They're going to do it when they're like 80. So, I mean, they'll still be around in like 30 years and then there will be new like 50-year-old rappers and it'll be just like rock where people will get excited like, oh shit, Eminem's on this lineup. They won't give a fuck if it's 26-year-old Eminem. It's one of who most people have decided is one of hip hop's best ever. That
Snoop got washed by NBA YoungBoy on the song that they just did.
Snoop
but nobody's really going to care about NBA YoungBoy in 6 years, and Snoop people will talk about for hundreds of years. Like
that's a fact.
I don't think that's true.
I guarantee you.
YoungBoy is one of those like wave artists that he's in the wave that he's in, but eventually the wave comes back
He's been on the wave for like 4 years. He's like a little baby.
4 years is
Lil
not
Baby?
very long. We're talking about like Snoop Dogg and Eminem, and you're saying 4 years?
But they're
Like,
they're only
what?
like these are like 18-year-olds. Well, not you, Lil Baby. Lil Baby's a little bit older.
I
But
understand that, but let's see where he's at. In 6
NBA
years.
YoungBoy will not have a career to any close
Not comparable to any of the
remnants of Snoop. That won't happen.
Right, or
NBA
any of the
YoungBoy.
names we've said
I'm
for
sorry.
that matter. 2 Chainz, MJ, any of them. He won't he won't have the
Bro,
effect and the lasting.
People that don't listen to hip hop
I
know
would
Snoop
disagree.
Dogg. Know who Snoop Dogg is.
I know that. I'm not
That's a good
I'm not
point.
doubting
Yeah,
his
and
legacy.
NBA
I'm not
Youngboy
doubting
has
his
no
legacy in any
relevance
way, but
outside
I
of
also
at all.
would make a point that NBA YoungBoy has his own legacy with the young people. He's like the hottest of their generation.
Only NBA YoungBoy I know is Tyler Hero. That young boy be balling.
And he may very well be like a real big deal within his subculture, Shawn. But it's like Verse said, like people know Snoop and 2 Chainz and Jay-Z and DMX and Eminem, and people know these people who don't even know hip hop. No, all the NBA YoungBoy, like within hip hop, people know him, but general people that aren't like, you know, hip hop enthusiasts or hip hop heads, if you will, they don't know who the fuck NBA YoungBoy is still.
So would you
Right.
guys say
More
would
people
you
know who
guys say
Bad
one of
Baby is
would
than
you guys say
fucking
one of
NBA
two things? Would you guys say that either there is a person that is that figurehead for this generation, or is hip hop about to fall off?
Nah, hip hop's not falling off.
Not gonna
But
fall
who's
off.
gonna carry it?
It'll just always keep merging like
What,
rock.
after Drake? After Drake, Kendrick, and Cole? Is that what you're saying?
After, yeah.
After them, I mean, Young Thug seems to have lately been primed to be the next top artist of the year.
I mean, he didn't drop too much later than them though.
But yeah, Young Thug's. If I don't know if you how much you pay attention to random hip hop, but he's been popping up a lot of places, and doing
Yeah,
more
Thug's
tracks,
had lots of good
doing
new-
more tracks with people outside of the hip hop community.
Right. Yeah, Thug's had lots of good material, and like Verse
Mhm.
said, half of his new good material, he appears on just random artist shit that aren't even, you know.
He
what I
was
mean?
on that. He was on that. The Van. I was like, is this Young Thug?
Oh, you know
True,
who?
it started back then, but yeah, he does
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
collabs all over. 'Cause I
Young
actually
Thug-
listen to pop, and Thug pops up on a lot of shit. Yeah.
Young Thug is not gonna be known like Snoop Dogg, I don't think. But you know who
No.
will?
Oh, you mean who I think will be known like that?
Internationally,
man, that's
like just
tough.
a celebrity. I think
like
it's Travis
the biggest
Scott.
bro.
celebrity and like most known name from the hip hop community.
That's tough,
Yeah,
man.
that's a
Snoop
tough
is such a Snoop is such an anomaly. Like,
I
his-
think Travis Scott though. I think because of his burger, and then also he was just on SNL. He did a feature spot. He's done musical appearances on SNL. He gets called. I think he's gonna be not as known as Snoop, but I think he's gonna be the one who's gonna reach that far, as well as being married to the youngest billionaire ever. I'm not married, but
I think
making a baby with.
I think it was supposed to be Cardi, and then they kind of pulled the trigger there when she
I hope
realized
not.
It's
how
because she got
liberal she
political.
was and shit like that. Because she's one of those figures like Snoop that like my mom really likes Cardi, and I highly doubt she's heard one Cardi song, but she really likes Cardi as a person. So for the question of what we're talking about, it may still very well be Cardi-B, like a person from the hip hop community that's actually a big star to people outside of hip hop.
I think Drake could be that, but he doesn't give himself enough outside of music, outside of like actual musical tracks.
That's
He
true.
doesn't
Yeah,
give
he
himself
needs to
enough.
be more of like a personality outside of shit, and he doesn't really come off.
All
that
he
cool.
has to do is take the movie roles he's been offered. If he takes movie roles he's been offered,
Why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't
I
he
don't
do
know.
that? I know he's
Yeah,
been
he could
offered
get like
movie
the
roles.
Rock status because he's a somewhat talented actor. If he took more roles and shit and became that type figure, then
Bro,
yeah, I think Drake
yeah.
would be much bigger outside of hip hop. But even now, he's like Verse said, he's there right now. It's just who would follow him.
Yeah, I think Drake is it right now. Following him, I don't know because listen, I feel like Kendrick and J. Cole.
They
I
tried
feel like
it with Baby.
Go ahead, man. Yeah, the Kendrick and J. Cole. I feel like they'll both stop making music before Drake does.
oh yeah, they're both
think
on the way
That's a good
out.
point too. They have
They're
to
both on the way out of
continue
making
to
music.
shit.
And I don't
only has,
mean
like,
that-
one more project in him. And
Yeah,
J.
I don't think-
J. Cole isn't even probably going to release his next project. He said.
Oh, he will. He will. Believe me. Cole will release his next project. The fall off is coming.
Cole will be around for a while still. But yeah, I think they've tried with a few people, Verse. I think they were hoping Cardi could be that. Then I think they were hoping DaBaby could be that. Then I
Yo,
think
Cardi.
they were hoping,
Cardi's not as well known as Nicki Minaj though.
well, logically, I
That
mean,
might
it's
be true. That might be true. Yeah.
been around a lot of years, though. I mean, they already gave her the whole mainstream push to get her to that level. We're talking about who's going to get that treatment behind Drake, and I think they wanted Cardi to be it at one point, and they wanted DaBaby to be it at one point, but neither one of them were like, they were getting too much criticism compared to the praise, so they were like, and the system kind of didn't push them the same because they're both on major labels and they want to make that person somebody on a major label, obviously, like the next spearhead figure. You know what I mean? Even M was on a major label when he was saying all that controversial ass shit when he first came to prominence. It was still major label money.
You know what's crazy is I would have said Chance before his last album.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I was thinking that. I literally had that in the back of my mind, like possibly Chance. Maybe that'll make a good debate topic, but no.
People are really behind
that last album had him falling off. Chicago maybe, but even there, he's not like an R. Kelly status or something. Like he's not big God status. He's not even as big as Kanye West in that respect for hip hop.
How old is
that's just Chicago?
I feel like Big Sean they kind of been halfway giving Big Sean that push the whole time, but Sean's already past like his youngest years now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did.
No, I think
he did date Ariana Grande and stuff, so he is a pretty big celebrity as well.
And Janae Akia.
Oh, that affects the prevalence.
But that's the music. That's the music. That's more because she's more.
Yeah,
R&B
I don't think Janae Akia is that big outside of her lane. Like, but then again, I don't know. Maybe she is pretty big. I don't see her pop up in just general pop culture shit like you would.
Yeah, I haven't even seen her do a commercial or anything, so I don't think she's as big as like Ariana Grande.
I want to ask this too on that same note because there's something else I want to ask you guys. What's funny is I'm sitting here thinking about trying to be the next, like we talked about the next Snoop Dogg, as big as Snoop Dogg. I can't necessarily pinpoint Snoop's his recipe like you know what I'm saying? I can't necessarily pinpoint the one or two things I feel like Snoop Dogg did or had that made him such a global icon. Like, what was it? Is it smoking weed? Was that it? Like,
weed
what was it that did
he was able to become like a weed figure,
care.
like Willie Nelson. That was part of it, yeah.
Appearing in movies, appearing in commercials.
Like, he didn't fake the funk. He didn't, try to make himself. He was straight gangster. Like, just set me who I am. I'm a G.
Right.
It is what it is.
He was so himself, and he's one of those only people that's like gangster, but at the same time is like a player, but at the same time is like respectful to people, but at the same time, like he's like a one of a type person. You know what I mean? Like he's just such a rare human in his natural form that his secret in his case was just like LaKrysia said, just being his complete self at all times. And it was bound to happen because he's just such a rare entity as a living thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's always chill. Like, it doesn't even matter what he's doing. He's just like always just like, well, I think that's probably because he's always high. But
yeah. And I know, and I bet for
everything. He's just calm, chill.
Yes. I bet for a fact that.
Yeah, because like old white people, LaKrysia, they don't even know his gangster past and shit.
Right.
They just like a funny ass smoker dude. They don't know about all that.
That's got a lot to do with Martha, though. Him and Martha teamed up. And
that was one of their introduction to like, who's this cool guy? Yeah.
That's a crazy connection. That's a crazy connection right there.
That is funny. Yeah, like their little bond.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I bet for a fact too, like no matter how prestige the platform is, when you book in Snoop Dogg to come through, I want to talk about this contract you guys sent. It says he needs somewhere to smoke. We don't allow that in the building. Oh yeah, well, we don't allow Snoop in the building then. You don't get Snoop if you don't got a green room. And I mean green room in every sense of the word, green.
Right.
Well, his show was amazing. I wish he would bring back. Do you remember GGN News?
Yes.
Fuck, I wish he would bring that back. Like he'd bring on lots of celebrities that thought they were smokers. And then after they smoked with Snoop for like 20 minutes, like they couldn't even like speak and shit like that. Like a lot of rappers went on there and they just couldn't handle Snoop's weed. So they're just like inactive for the whole second half of the show.